Hey everyone, I'm not sure why, but the following video came out sideways, diagonal, but it actually kind of works in an artsy way. So I'm not going to retake it because I think the message came out good, and I hope that you find a lot of value in it. I think it's got a lot of really great points. Okay, enjoy. Hello, everyone. This is Debbie Happy Cohen here with Joy Based Living. Welcome to another tea time, especially for people who are in a transition period or who are committed to transformation or who are healing trauma. And this one is especially for people who are dealing with healing from codependency or CPTSD. This one healthy, positive action can and will induce a trauma response in the body. Now, personally, once you see what this is, you're going to wish that every single coach and therapist and teacher and leader knew this information. So let's go ahead and reveal. Self-championing. When you ask somebody who has codependency tendencies to champion themselves, they will flip out. They will jump into one of the 4 F's. Those of you who've been studying this information for a while know that there are 4 primary responses to scary, traumatic things, and those are fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. So what I have written here is you want to be able to help them get traction to take action. You want to help them strengthen their will to win. And the other thing I wrote there at the bottom, and I'm going to reveal these 4 in just a moment, of positive, powerful, protective positions, is a definiteness of response is backed up by knowing that you are loved. When I see people like Oprah, and they're showing pictures of her childhood, and she had this like definiteness in her eyes of, oh no, grandma, I'm not gonna be like somebody's maid. She also grew up in a very deeply entrenched faith-based family. So this is not a message about religion. It's a message about when someone knows very deeply that someone else is behind them. Maya Angelou had the same experience. Her mom actually showed up to Sweden when she was being, emotionally bullied and blown off by the white people who were in the studio. Mama showed up and didn't even show up to the studio. Just flew right over to Sweden, started like really emotionally caring for her daughter, and people in the studio started treating Maya differently. So that's important information as the basis for what I'm going to show you next. So the 4 F's are fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. Fawn means people pleasing. Freeze can be like dissociation, like you're just frozen, like a deer in headlights. You're fantasizing a lot rather than actually facing what's in front of you. I heard a wonderful definition of enlightenment recently. Enlightenment is simply seeing reality exactly for what it is. So one of the lies people who are codependent tell themselves is they put beauty on places where it isn't. They see somebody who's maybe going to take advantage of them, and they go, oh, but that person has potential, or I can change them, or I can help them. That's a codependency response. So I know I'm going on there. I'm going to show you the 4. But I think the context is really, really important that you understand. So, okay, so 4 positive, powerful, post-traumatic empowerment responses for thriving and not merely surviving, going from compulsive to conscious, from stuck to soaring, here's what we have. We're going to take those 4 F's and we're going to turn them into positive experiences, which they are in normally healthy functioning people, because they're not compulsive. They're more conscious. And so number 1 is fight. Have a backbone, have boundaries, use your anger. One of my favorite New Testament Bible quotes is, "Get thee behind me." You can put any word behind there. You can put Bruce Willis. I'll be clean in my language here. "Get thee behind me, melon farmer." So you can make that funny, but there is a strength of conviction inside of you when you are using that F response to say no. And you can do it with a smile. So if you sense something isn't right, you don't even have to be reasonable. You can just be like, no, not going there. No, I want to make a different turn in that conversation, in that relationship, in that experience, including the one with yourself. One of the things I'm not going to go into in this video, but I will in other videos, is that the thing we're needing to use these 4 empowerment responses for, more than anything, is for the inner critic which has gone awry inside of somebody who's codependent or dealing with CPTSD, or CPTSR as I like to call it. That's complex post-traumatic stress disorder versus complex post-traumatic stress response. You can look that up on the internet or at joybasedliving.com. Then we have the flight response. Bye-bye. Beam me up. Get me out of here. You have a right to flight from any situation that is not validating to your very best self, from people who actually don't have your best interests at heart, even if they say they do, or even if they really, really want to, but they really don't. You have a right to leave. You have a right to take flight. La la. Again, we're going back to, you want to be able to do that consciously, not compulsively, and say, I'm choosing to leave. I'm not just running. Sometimes I work with people, because I've been self-championing people, helping people self-champion themselves and self-championing myself for many, many years. And until I learned the CPTSD information, I did not understand why there were places that I and them would continue to get stuck. And now, oh my gosh, it's like freedom to get to the other side. It's just so beautiful. So we covered fight, flight. Then we have, was this the next one I wanted to show you? I think it was. No, it's not, but you got a peek at it. Okay, we'll do fawn first. Fawn is people-pleasing behavior. It's classic, like, you recognize it in people who are, like, you say, oh, someone's codependent. You're like, yeah, that is somebody who says, I'm sorry, when they say sorry to the chair if they kick the chair. They say sorry to people who, or the person just hurt them, like, oh, I'm sorry. Fawning at a conscious level is being able to negotiate, being willing to listen. If somebody is physically abusive to you, don't sit around and fawn. If somebody is emotionally abusive to you, if they don't handle a negotiation, if they won't, don't fawn. Pick one of the other responses. That's right is in a way of affirming yourself. One of my favorite mental health workouts is, I love giving this to some of my clients who, if they start a session, coaching sessions, by telling me everything they didn't do or what went wrong, I give an assignment where they have to every single day, like in a Google document, write what they did right that day. And then when they get good at it, they actually start coaching sessions with me by telling me what they did right. So we have something to go on and grow on. And again, that's very typical for people with CPTSD or codependency, because there's a sense that everybody else is cool and good and awesome and I kind of suck. So that's what we're healing there, because that's not true. That's another lie codependents tell themselves. That's the flip side of the first lie. Everybody else is awesome. Let me dress them up and see how pretty they are, even though they're sociopathic bullies. and I suck. Well, I think that really kicks a lot of people's butts, and I think it hurts us as a society because a lot of people do that. We can stop it. So we're using videos and social media to stop it. And the fourth one, la la la. This one is freeze. So we have fight, flight, fawn, and freeze. This is the fourth post-traumatic empowerment response. You can sit back and watch. Now, if you're doing this compulsively, you're going to watch, but you are not going to ever speak up. You're going to freeze. You're going to look. Now, this, if you imagine like a really expert person doing this, they are poised and ready. They are observing. They're noticing the tiniest details. Now, when this is used in an unhealthy environment, it's used generally as a means to escape. And that causes a person to have hypervigilant focus, which does not help the person be a really good champion for themselves. It helps them escape, but it doesn't help them thrive. And what happens is, let's bring the video back around and then we'll bring it to a close. What happens is when a person starts to aim for thriving and getting traction and taking action and having a will to win, what happens is they have to take off their hypervigilant glasses. They have to stop the compulsive habit of fight, flight, freeze, and fawn and all the dissociation that happens. I'm pausing here because there's a lot of information here. In order to thrive, you have to be fully present inside yourself. And you have to come to a place where you feel not only safe, but excited about self-championing yourself. Now, if this does bring up trauma for you, I'm just giving you a map here of how I see where the healing needs to happen so that you can take steps. I highly recommend Pete Walker's books on healing from CPTSD, from surviving to thriving. I also highly recommend at Joy Based Living, we have a workout ebook with videos called the 12 Practices. Those will help you get situated into honoring yourself and knowing what you want with greater clarity and being self-supportive and all that that means. So there are so many good and great tools out there. If you're helping somebody champion them and they keep getting stuck, they're probably stuck in one of these trauma responses. So learn it up, eat it up, but don't just make it mental information that has to become embodied for it to work. It must become embodied, and that's going to take some time, some presence, commitment, loyalty, big time loyalty on your part if you're self-championing, and on another person's part if you're championing somebody else. I'll just say one thing about that, which is if somebody is old enough to be championing themselves and they are not doing it no matter how much you give them, you're going to have to put the stick down at some point, or the stick, or the motivation and all of that. You have to let people fight for themselves so that they can be strong on the inside. So if they show you signs that they're moving towards self-championing, they're moving through the pain or the grief or the whatever they need to get through these, through being compulsive to being conscious, if you see them fighting for themselves, back them up and fight for them and with them. But if they are not, they're better served sometimes if you will just back off and let them learn for themselves, because it's their muscles that are going to need to grow. Otherwise, you're going to be practicing codependency. Okay, that's it for now, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. This was really fun. I hope you liked it too.